Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are staring directly into the face of the future, or maybe it's more accurate to say the very stark reality of the present, considering it's early February 2026.
It feels like the future arrived a little ahead of schedule, doesn't it?
It really does. I want to kick things off with a statistic that I found absolutely jarring. It actually, it stopped me in my tracks while I was reading through the morning stack.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at a job market right now where, generally speaking, job seekers are outpacing openings. It's sluggish. It feels heavy out there for a lot of people. But then you look at this specific narrow slice of the tech world roles with titles like agentic AI engineer. And the demand isn't just up, it is explosive. We're talking about salary premiums of over 50%. 50% compared to what we consider the gold standard just a few years ago, traditional software engineers. It's a fascinating divergence, isn't it?
It's more than fascinating. It's a bit terrifying if you're on the wrong side of it. Well, it feels less like a typical tech trend, like when everyone pivoted to crypto for 6 months in 2021, and more like a tectonic shift, a real fundamental skills earthquake.
An earthquake, I like that.
Yeah, we're seeing a fundamental restructuring of what it means to work in the technology sector. It's the difference between a weather pattern and climate change. One passes, the other redefines the entire map.
And that brings us to the central question we are tackling today. It's a question I think everyone is quietly asking themselves, staring at their screens, maybe while their code compiles or while they wait for a meeting to start.
Which is?
Are we training our replacements, or are we finally getting the coworkers we always wanted?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. And if you look at the stack of reports we have here, we've got Anthropic's 2026 coding trends, the new salary guides from Robert Half, heavy data from LinkedIn and Gartner, they all point to the same thing.
Right.
We have moved past the, wow, look at this chatbot phase. That's 2023. We are now in the era of the silicon workforce. It is no longer about using a tool to write an email. It's about managing autonomous agents that can plan, execute, and deliver complex work.
Okay, so that's our mission today. We're going to decode this. We're going to unpack what agentic AI actually means for your career, like right now.
We have to. We need to distinguish the hype from the reality, and we're going to get into some of these new terms that are popping up in these reports.
Yes, terms like work slop, vibe coding, and the dreaded mid-career squeeze.
Work slop is a term we definitely need to spend some time on. It's visceral. You can almost feel it. But yes, the goal is to give you a clear map of this new landscape.
Right. We'll define the technology, look at who is safe and who is at risk, and talk about the skills you actually need.
And spoiler alert, it is not just about writing code anymore, not by a long shot.
Okay, so let's get into the definition first, because I feel like agentic AI is becoming one of those buzzwords that everyone uses, but nobody really defines.
Oh, absolutely.
How is this different from the AI we were all freaking out about in 2023 or 2024? I have a chatbot on my phone. Is that an agent?
Not quite. And this distinction is crucial. If you don't get this, you don't get the economic shift that's happening. The best way to frame it, and Anthropic's 2026 report does a great job of this, is the shift from assistance to collaboration, or maybe even autonomy.
Okay, break that down for me. Assistance versus collaboration.
Think of the traditional AI we've been using, the chatbots, the co-pilots. Those are passive. You give it a prompt, it gives you an answer, it assists with a discrete task.
Fix this function.
Fix this function, write this email, summarize this document. It's like a very smart, very fast spell checker. Or maybe a junior intern who is terrified of making a mistake, so they need you to stand over their shoulder and watch every single keystroke.
Right, it waits for me. It has no initiative. If I stop typing, it stops working, it has no drive.
Exactly, it's reactive. Now, agentic AI, which is what is defining the 2026 landscape, is autonomous. It pursues goals. You don't just give it a task, you give it an objective.
Okay, so not a to-do, but a to-be.
That's a good way to put it. You say, build this feature or plan this marketing campaign, and it goes away. It plans the steps, it executes them, it tests its own work, it reflects on whether it did a good job, and then it comes back with results.
So, to use the office analogy again, the chatbot is the intern you have to micromanage, and the agent is the contractor you hire to solve a problem.
That is a perfect analogy. You don't tell the contractor which hammer to use, you tell them you need a deck built and you agree on the specs, they handle the rest.
And they might come back with questions or issues, but they are driving the project forward.
They are. The agentic AI is capable of handling long-running tasks. We're talking about processes that take hours or even days. It's not just a quick back and forth conversation anymore. It's asynchronous work. You assign the ticket, you go to sleep, you wake up, and the pull request is ready for review.
That sounds amazing and also a little unnerving. I saw a specific example in the Anthropic report about a company called Fountain. They're a workforce management platform. This really brought it home for me.
Oh yeah, the Fountain case study is a great illustration of this.
They used something called a Fountain Copilot, but it wasn't just one bot. They called it a central orchestrator.
Yes, and this points to the bigger trend of single agents evolving into coordinated teams. This is where it gets really, well, almost sci-fi. Fountain used a main agent to coordinate a team of sub-agents.
So like a digital manager.
Pretty much. You have one agent handling candidate screening, another one handling document generation for new hires, and a third one doing sentiment analysis on the candidate's written responses to see if they're a good culture fit.
It's like a digital assembly line for HR.
Correct. And the result? They cut the time to staff an entire fulfillment center from weeks, sometimes a month or more, to less than 72 hours.
3 days. That's not an incremental improvement. That is a complete collapse of the timeline.
That's the term they use, timeline compression. It's not about making one step faster, it's about making the entire process an order of magnitude faster. And that's where the real economic value is.
And that's where the money is.
Hmm?
Speed and scale. But there's another example that I think is even more telling for the technical listeners, the Rakuten case study. This one blew my mind a little bit.
It is genuinely impressive. So Rakuten had a really complex task. They needed to implement a specific, quite niche activation vector extraction method in a massive open source library called VLLM.
Yeah, and for context, VLLM isn't some small utility. It's a beast.
A total beast.
Yeah.
We're talking about a code base with 12.5 million lines of code.
12.5 million lines. Just try
Yep.
to get your head around that. That is a haystack the size of a mountain. Finding the needle in that is a nightmare.
A human engineer, even a senior one, would need weeks just to build the mental model of that code, just to understand where to touch it without breaking everything else. It would be a huge project.
I mean, you'd have meetings about the meetings to plan the approach.
Exactly. Rakuten used Claude Code, an agentic tool. It finished the job in 7 hours.
7 hours.
One single autonomous run. It just went. And the accuracy, 99.9% compared to the reference method.
7 hours. That's barely a workday. A human would probably spend 7 hours just setting up their development environment and trying to read the documentation.
Precisely.
And-
Then this highlights the conceptual shift we need to understand. We are moving from deterministic engineering to probabilistic engineering.
Okay, let's pause on that. Deterministic versus probabilistic. That sounds a bit academic, but I feel like it's key to understanding why everything feels so different right now. Why does that matter to the average dev?
It's fundamental. It's the whole ballgame. Traditional software engineering is deterministic. It is explicit logic. If X, then Y.
It's math.
It's math. It's logic. You write the code, you know exactly what it's going to do. It's about reliability, architecture, making sure the machine does exactly what it's told. It's rigid, but it's predictable.
Right. Rules, logic, certainty. If it breaks, it's because my logic was flawed, and I can go find that flaw.
Exactly. But AI engineering and working with AI is probabilistic. These systems learn from data. They make predictions. They aren't following a strict if-in rulebook in the same way. They're guessing the most likely correct outcome based on massive amounts of training.
So it's not about writing the logic. It's about shaping the odds.
That's a great way to put it. The focus shifts from, did I write the logic correctly, to, did I teach the system how to behave correctly? Or did I give it the right data and constraints so it makes good guesses?
That is the aha moment for me.
Yeah.
We aren't just building software anymore. We are teaching systems. It feels less like construction and more like, I don't know, parenting or coaching.
Coaching is a great way to put it. You are managing drift. You are managing accuracy. You are no longer the bricklayer. You are the architect and the foreman checking the work. You are managing the probability of success rather than writing the guarantee of it.
Which segues perfectly into what this means for the people who used to be the bricklayers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the impact on jobs, because the data here is, well, it's stark.
It is. We have to address the elephant in the room, the entry-level crisis.
I have friends who are trying to break into tech right now, recent grads, boot camp grads, and they are struggling. I mean, really struggling. Is it just the economy, Or is the AI actually eating the bottom rung of the ladder?
It is a combination for sure. The economy's not helping. But the AI factor is significant and growing. According to the IT Support Group report, demand for entry-level programming is down 25 to 27%.
A quarter of the jobs gone.
And it's worse for basic IT support level 1 help desk stuff. Password resets, simple troubleshooting, that's down 38%.
That is a third of the market just gone. Poof.
And the reason is simple mechanics. AI is excellent at junior tasks. It's fantastic at writing boilerplate code, fixing simple bugs, writing unit tests, closing out routine support tickets.
The things we used to give to juniors to help them learn the ropes.
Exactly. It was low-risk work that built context. That's how you learn the code base. That's how you learn the company's systems.
Right, the stepping stones. You start by fixing the printer or writing a simple script, and eventually you learn how the whole system works. If those stones are gone, how do you cross the river?
That is the crisis. We are potentially breaking the talent pipeline. If you can't get hired to do the grunt work, how do you gain the context to become a senior engineer? Companies are looking at the balance sheet and saying, why pay a junior $60,000 to learn slowly when the agent costs pennies and works instantly?
But that's incredibly short-term thinking, isn't it? It feels like eating your seed corn. Where do your seniors of 2030 come from?
Extremely. But markets are often short-sighted. It's a real problem. However, it is not just the juniors who are worried. We need to talk about the mid-career squeeze.
Yeah, the folks with 5 to 10 years of experience, they aren't rookies, but they aren't principal architects either. Why are they in the crosshairs?
They are in a very, very uncomfortable spot. If your primary value to a company is executing well-defined tasks, taking a spec from a product manager and writing the code, or managing a standard process, you are at risk.
Because that's a task. That's a goal you can give an agent.
Precisely. You are now competing with AI-augmented juniors who can do that work faster and cheaper. Or you're competing with the AI itself. Your years of experience in writing clean, efficient code for a specific task are suddenly less valuable.
Gartner had a prediction that really stuck out to me regarding this group. They think 20% of organizations are using AI to flatten hierarchies.
Right.
And they're talking about potentially eliminating over 50% of middle management positions. That's a huge number.
It is, but it makes a certain kind of cold sense if you think about what middle management often entails. Scheduling, reporting, performance monitoring, aggregating data for the higher...
Just coordination, moving information around.
Yes, a lot of it is being a human router. AI can do that instantly and arguably more accurately. So the layer of people whose job is just to move information from the bottom to the top is thinning out fast.
That sounds grim. Okay, but we promised we wouldn't just do doom and gloom. There is growth, right? Where are the jobs actually going?
It is not all doom. Not at all. LinkedIn reports 1.3 million new AI-enabled jobs. The market isn't disappearing. It is rotating. It's shifting.
So what are these new titles? Who is getting hired for these 50% salary premium jobs?
Well, obviously, agentic AI engineer is the big one. These are the people building the agents we just talked about. They're the ones building the contractors. But there are more specialized roles, too. Take RAG engineer.
RAG, retrieval augmented generation. That's when you connect the AI to your own trusted data so it doesn't just make stuff up, right?
Exactly. You are grounding the AI in truth. This is a massive problem for enterprises. They can't have their internal bot hallucinating company policy or financial data. A RAG engineer makes the AI trustworthy by connecting it to a specific, verified knowledge base.
And those jobs are paying well.
Extremely well. Robert Half lists RAG engineer salaries in the UK between 110 and 180,000 pounds. That is a massive premium.
That is huge. And it makes sense. You need the AI to be useful and safe, not just a creative chatterbox.
What about the non-coding roles? Is there anything for the humanities majors?
Definitely. There is the AI interaction specialist or prompt engineer, though that title is kind of evolving. It's less about one-off prompts and more about designing conversational systems, personas, and workflows.
So, like a creative writer for bots.
In a way. But here's a really interesting one from Gartner. Digital doppelgangers.
Yes. This one sounded like something out of Blade Runner. Employees getting paid to train their own digital twins.
It is happening. The idea is that an expert, say, a top salesperson or a brilliant systems architect, trains a model on their specific workflow, their communication style, their decision-making process. They feed it their emails, their documents, their meeting transcripts.
And then what? That doppelganger can handle work when you are sleeping, or focus on the routine stuff while you do the creative work. That's the idea. Imagine your digital twin can answer 80% of the questions your team asks you, freeing you up to solve the really hard problems. It multiplies your output.
It sounds cool, but also a little bit like training your replacement. Here is everything I know, now I will show myself out.
That is the fear, and it is a valid one. It's a huge question of intellectual property and compensation. But the optimistic view is that it multiplies your value. If you can be in 3 meetings at once via your agents, your value goes up. It depends entirely on whether your company sees you as the source of the intelligence or just the bottleneck for it.
That's a great way to frame it. Let's talk about the people keeping the lights on. IT operations. Is the server room safe?
It is transforming
Oh.
dramatically. We're seeing a shift to what some firms are calling zero-ticket environments.
Zero ticket, as in nothing ever breaks. Come on.
No, things still break. Things always break. But AI ops, artificial intelligence for IT operations, means the AI catches and fixes the routine stuff automatically. Disk space low. The AI clears the cache. A service is hung. The AI restarts it. A common port is blocked. The AI opens it.
So the human sysadmin isn't waking up at 3 a.m. for a server restart anymore.
Right. When a human gets a ticket in 2026, it is not a password reset. It is a complex intelligence brief. The AI says, here's a weird performance anomaly I couldn't fix. Here is all the relevant data. Here are the 3 things I tried that didn't work. Your turn.
That actually sounds like a much better, more interesting job.
It is a higher value job. You're doing high-level detective work, not janitorial work.
Right.
It requires higher-level skills, and that leads to the sector divergence we're seeing. Tech jobs are safe if you have these new skills.
And you get the AI premium we talked about, up to 56% higher wages.
But there's a fascinating counter-trend that the Gartner and LinkedIn reports both picked up on. Tech to trades.
I saw this and I had to read it twice. White-collar workers leaving their desks to become electricians or plumbers or welders.
Yes, it's a flight to stability. If you're a mid-career project manager and you're worried that AI can do your scheduling and reporting better than you can, you might look at a plumber and think, a robot isn't going to fix that complex leak under the sink anytime soon.
It's the AI-proof appeal of the physical world.
Exactly. It's such a wild reversal. For decades, the narrative was learn to code. Now we are seeing a small but growing number of people say, actually, learn to weld.
It circles back to what is scarce. Physical dexterity and navigating complex, messy, real-world environments is still very hard for AI.
Right.
Writing a SQL query is getting easy. Fixing a customized HVAC system in a 100-year-old building is very, very hard.
And will be for a while.
So, for those of us who are staying in the digital world, we have to adapt. We can't just be coders anymore. The report from Anthropic mentions this shift from implementer to orchestrator.
This is the crux of the skill shift. This is the most important takeaway for anyone listening right now. If you are an engineer in 2026, your primary role is no longer typing out the syntax. It is coordinating agents.
And this is where that term vibe coding comes in. I love it.
It's a catchy term, isn't it?
It sounds like something from TikTok, but it's a real technical practice now.
It is. It effectively means describing functionality in natural language, the vibe of what you want, and letting the AI handle the rigorous syntax. You focus on the intent. The AI focuses on the implementation.
So I say, I want a landing page that feels modern and minimalist, captures emails, maybe has a cool, subtle animation and connects to this database. And the AI writes the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and backend logic.
Yes. But, and here is the massive catch, this is what Anthropic calls the collaboration paradox.
Okay.
Their data shows that developers use AI in about 60% of their work, but they can only fully delegate about 0 to 20% of it.
Wait, explain that. So I'm using it constantly, but I can't trust it to just go do the job alone.
Exactly. You can't just walk away. It is a constant collaborator that requires active supervision. You need to practice AI oversight, because if the AI hallucinates a function that doesn't exist, or uses a deprecated library, or introduces a subtle security flaw,
It's on me. I'm the one who has to catch it.
you're the one on the hook. So vibe coding isn't just wishing for software. You still need to know enough to know when the AI is lying to you or cutting corners.
That's a really important point. You need more expertise to validate AI code than to write it yourself from scratch.
In many cases, yes. Think about it. When you write code, you build a mental model of how it works line by line. When an AI generates 500 lines of code in a second, you have to reverse engineer that mental model instantly to verify it. That takes serious skill. It's like grading an essay on a book you haven't read, written by a student who is known to just make up facts.
That's a fantastic analogy. It's harder to grade that essay than to write one sometimes, especially if the student writes it in 3 seconds.
Correct. And that is why the upskilling urgency is so incredibly high. Gartner says 80% of the engineering workforce needs to upskill by 2027.
80%. That is basically everyone in the next couple of years.
It is everyone. It's a massive industry-wide retraining effort. And the skills are specific. We talked about prompt engineering designing inputs for reliability, but also AI ethics and governance.
Yeah.
Understanding bias, understanding hallucinations.
And human-centric skills.
Yeah.
I feel like we always say soft skills matter, but now it really seems true.
It is distinctively true now. Critical thinking, negotiation, creativity, and taste. AI can generate 1,000 logo designs, but it can't tell you which one will emotionally resonate with your target customer in this specific cultural moment. That is taste. That is human.
So we are looking for the T-shaped professional.
Yes. But the T-shape has shifted. The old T-shape was deep expertise in one coding language, like Java, and broad knowledge of others. The new T-shape is deep expertise in a domain like knowing Kubernetes networking inside and out. So you can catch the AI's mistakes, plus broad familiarity with a wide range of AI tools to integrate them.
So you're a master chef who also knows how to manage a team of robot line cooks. You need to be able to taste the soup to know if the robot's added too much salt.
Perfect analogy. If you lose your sense of taste, your deep expertise, you are at the mercy of the robots. You just become a rubber stamp. And rubber stamps are very easily automated.
Now, we have to talk about the dark side, or at least the messy side. The Gartner report introduced this term, work slop, and I can't get it out of my head.
It is a visceral term, isn't it? Work slop.
It sounds gross. It sounds like cafeteria food. What is it?
It is the low-quality AI-generated output that employees are drowning in. It's the flood of mediocre content. It is the email that was clearly written by ChatGPT and says absolutely nothing of substance. It is the code that looks fine but breaks the build in a subtle, hard-to-debug way.
It's the automated report that's 40 pages long but contains 0 actual insights.
That's it, exactly. It is a productivity drain disguised as a tool. It creates work instead of saving it.
So we have all these tools that promise to make us faster, but we're spending half our day just cleaning up the mess they make.
That is the risk, and it's a huge one. Gartner found that fewer than 1% of layoffs were actually due to proven AI productivity gains. A lot of it is premature hype.
It's CEO FOMO, fear of missing out.
Total FOMO. They see a competitor announce an AI initiative, they get nervous, they buy the tools, they cut staff to pay for it, and then the remaining staff is stuck working overtime cleaning up the work slop.
That is a massive cautionary tale for leadership. Don't fire the humans until you are absolutely sure the robots aren't just making a bigger mess.
And that you know how to measure the actual productivity, not just the volume of output.
What about security? We touched on deepfakes, but it goes deeper than that, doesn't it?
Oh, much deeper. It is becoming a full-blown arms race. Recruitment fraud is a huge one. Gartner predicts 25% of candidate profiles could be fake by 2028.
25%. So 1 in 4 resumes I look at might be a complete hallucination.
Or a very plausible fabrication generated by an agent. Candidates are using AI to write custom cover letters and resumes to apply to thousands of jobs. Companies are then using AI to filter them. It's bot versus bot.
And the human recruiter is caught in the middle.
Exactly. And then you have offensive AI. Bad actors using agents to scale attacks.
Right. I mean, if an agent can read 12.5 million lines of code to fix a bug, it can also read it to find an exploit.
Instantly. And it can write the code to execute that exploit. And corporate espionage becomes much scarier. Imagine an insider threat, but it is not a disgruntled person stealing files. It is a subtle agent running on the network, slowly exfiltrating data, mimicking normal traffic patterns. It moves from spy fiction to the payroll.
Okay, that is terrifying. Let's pivot back to the sunlight before we all end up in a bunker. There's a massive economic opportunity here, too. Anthropic talks about timeline compression.
This is the flip side of the coin. This is the incredible upside. Projects that used to take months or even years now take days or weeks. This fundamentally changes the economics of what is worth building.
Right. There are so many projects that are nice to have, but we never do them because they're too expensive or time-consuming.
Exactly. Technical debt is the perfect example. Every company has a huge backlog of bugs and refactoring they never get to. It's the messy closet no one wants to open. Agents can systematically eliminate that backlog. They can work 24/7, cleaning up the code, improving performance, patching old libraries.
That sounds like an absolute dream, a self-cleaning code base.
And for startups, it is a golden age. Startups are capturing 46% of venture funding right now because they are native to this technology. They don't have the legacy systems or the work slop to deal with yet. They can build from scratch with these tools.
It's the new collar era. I saw that term in the LinkedIn report.
Oh,
It's the idea that your formal degrees matter less than your demonstrated skills. If you can wield the tools, you can get the job.
It is a democratization of creation. You don't need a 4-year CS degree from a top school to build a sophisticated app anymore. You need a good idea and the ability to orchestrate the agents. The barrier to entry for creation is lower than it has ever been, even if the barrier for traditional employment is shifting.
So we have covered a lot. I mean, from the death of the junior dev role to the rise of the orchestrator to the very real threat of work slop. I want to end with a bit of a debate. Is this a net positive or a net negative? Because honestly, looking at the pipeline issue, I'm torn.
It is the right question. Where do you land right now, based on all this?
I worry about the pipeline. I really do. It feels like we are sawing off the bottom rung of the ladder. If juniors can't get hired to do the simple, repetitive grunt work, how do they ever become seniors? Are we breaking the very mechanism that creates experts in the first place?
That is the most valid concern, and I think it's the one that keeps a lot of engineering leaders up at night. But let me offer a rebuttal, or at least a different perspective.
Lazy.
We aren't necessarily breaking the pipeline, we might be shortening it.
How so? That sounds counterintuitive.
The entry level of 2026 isn't about knowing syntax. It is about knowing how to use these tools effectively. The learning curve is shifting from memorizing code to orchestrating systems. You learn by doing higher level tasks from day one, not by fixing typos for 6 months. You might get to senior level thinking faster because the AI handles the junior level typing.
So the junior of the future is managing a team of AI agents from day one.
Potentially. And consider the Jevons paradox.
Jevons paradox. Okay, I think I missed that day in Econ 101.
It's a fascinating economic theory from the 1800s. It says that as technology increases the efficiency with which a resource is used, the total consumption of that resource actually increases rather than decreases.
Okay, so applied to this, if we make coding cheaper and faster.
We won't write the same amount of software with fewer people. We will write exponentially more software. We will put software in places we never considered before because it was too expensive or impractical. Smart toasters, bespoke mobile apps for a single wedding, personalized education bots for every child on the planet.
So the demand for software is functionally infinite.
Effectively. If AI makes us 30% faster, we won't work 30% less. We will build 30% more. We will solve problems we ignored before because we finally have the bandwidth.
That is a much more hopeful view. It means more creation, more innovation, more solutions.
It is a net positive for productivity and innovation. But, and this is a big but, it is a net negative for routine work. If your job can be described as a series of routine, predictable steps, you are in trouble. The safe jobs are those requiring physical presence, high-stakes judgment, or dealing with ambiguity.
Ambiguity. That's the key, isn't it? AI hates ambiguity. Humans thrive in it.
Humans solve problems with context. AI solves problems with data. As long as the problem requires context, human feelings, office politics, history, nuance, the human is the critical bottleneck. The human in the loop is permanent.
Okay, so to summarize our deep dive today, agentic AI is here. It is autonomous, and it runs for days, not just for a few seconds.
And it absolutely crushes routine work, but elevates strategic, creative, and oversight work.
The engineer is becoming an orchestrator. You need to manage the bots, not just be one.
And the salaries are diverting as a fork in the road. If you have the AI skills, you get the premium. If you only have traditional skills, you are going to feel the squeeze.
And finally, a provocative thought to leave you with. I'm looking at this Gardner report again about the digital doppelgangers.
Yes.
If employees are getting paid to train their digital doppelgangers, and those doppelgangers eventually do the work, who actually collects the paycheck in 2030? The human trainer or the owner of the model?
That is the trillion-dollar question. It's a question about ownership of intelligence itself.
And if 90% of code is AI generated, does human written become a luxury label? Like handcrafted furniture.
Artisanal code, handcrafted by a human, complete with inefficient algorithms and quirky, endearing comments. It might sell for a premium.
Contains genuine human error.
Hmm.
Love it. Well, thanks for joining us in the deep end.
It was a pleasure. A lot to think about.
Keep learning, or the agents will do it for you. We'll see you next time.